Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Ruckus in the Mist sports production, and today we are going to finally do Ruckus Talks 2. And yes, I probably hinted this last episode, but I have been waiting way too long to do a Ruckus Talks 2, but here we are. I'll break down the Chiefs and the um, additions they have added and put my thoughts on what they could be used as a role. Um, my thoughts just in general between the Chiefs and Royals and the Royals. Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. Okay, so Chiefs breakdown. So Chiefs training camp has been done for a while now. The Ravens lost to the Chiefs by a big toe, and sadly, I passed out whenever that happened. I was like, okay, I'm tired, whatever. Um, so some surprise new additions. So we traded a seventh round pick for Cam Thomas, a uh, younger player that still is on his rookie deal that came from the Cardinals, Cam Thomas. He's a defensive end, so he would definitely be a huge help for Felix Uzama and Mike Dana and company, since Omenahue is still going to be on the injury list for some time, probably 5 or 6 more games because of his torn ACL that he suffered in the AFC Championship game. And then you have Peyton Hendershot, which we also got a trade from at tight end. I think he'll be a very valuable special teams piece, as many around this sector have said. Um, the added factor of Juju Smith Schuster kind of like shocked me a little bit, because a year ago he or 2 years ago, he just got off of winning his first ever Super Bowl ring, and then he was looking for big money. But the thing that was hindering him from keeping that contract or big money was the fact that his legs were pretty much just not the like were pretty in rough shape, and they were in rough shape whenever we had him on the Chiefs a year prior. So we're probably not going to see a huge we're probably not going to see a whole lot from Juju, but you'll probably see spurts and spurts of him, like the other night against the Ravens when he hurt himself. He caught the ball awkwardly and then dropped it, but I mean, there's not much you can do there. But I think you see him in more random scenarios, kind of like you saw Justin Watson or any of the other offensive players. Um, but you'll probably see a good sprinkle and mix of Juju and Carson Steele, the Alligator Man, and many others. One of the main kind of surprising roster cuts was, and it's probably not going to be anybody's surprise, but Kadarius Toney being cut, I think, was the writing on the wall when Juju signed. I just didn't know what they were anticipating with Rice and a few others. Justin Ross got cut, but he's now in the practice squad. The same could be said about Darnell Washington and a few of the other wide receivers that we had on the roster, like Nico Remigio. They're all on the practice squad. Pretty much most of the people that were cut are either on the practice squad or somewhere else. And the two running backs that didn't make it, Deneric Prince and Louis Reese Sammet, did signed with other practice squads. The uh, Welsh kid signed with the Jaguars practice squad, and then Deneric Prince signed with the Dolphins. So you might see him again um, when we face the Dolphins sometime in the near future. Maybe we'll see. Players tend to move around pretty quick, but I think I'm gonna break this down really quick. The Chiefs Ravens game, I think the obviously you can't be perfect, like no one's perfect, but I think the offense looked a lot better at the start of the season than it did last season. because of all the drops and stuff that was happening. We still have some stuff to clean up, but not as much as we did the year prior. Defense, I feel like the secondary has always been a as smooth as butter when it comes to coverage and what the opposing team does to abuse it in a sense. Like they would throw it to the receiver down the middle and no one would be there to like stop it, stuff like that. And I believe they really obviously they invested a butt ton of money on Chris Jones, uh, Drew Tranquil, Mike Dana, and a few others. But it's clear that the in the inside defensive areas, where it's the defensive tackles, defensive ends, and so forth, was the main focus of the investment and building of culture for the defense. The secondary, it's all right. You got McDuffie still. You got the other two or three that we drafted when we got our from the draft picks we got for Tyreek Hill and Joshua Williams, uh, Jalen Watson. You've got some guys from the practice squad that are still there. Like I think Battle maybe. I'm not sure, but I think as far as I think the offense did better than the defense in a sense, but were both equally matched in a sense. It wasn't like the defense it was last season where it was the defense was pretty much carrying the offense. So I really don't know how to feel so far. It's the first game of the season. I think week 2 is going to be another big test as I believe it's the Bengals versus the Chiefs and we'll just see what happens there. So moving on, we are going to talk a little bit about the Royals, and then I will conclude with my thoughts in general for both the Chiefs and Royals. So for the Royals, I think they're doing all right. They had a last week. They just finally won a game after having a 7-game losing streak that started with the tail end game 3 of the Guardians and then ended with a win at home, I believe, against the Guardians. But it was looking kind of ugly, and I was a little bit spooked, thinking that maybe we were kind of screwed. But obviously, we're doing better. Uh, the Royals are still in the second wild card spot at the time of recording, and in second place, with the Twins being in third. I think what we definitely need to improve on is just consistency with the offense. Um, that 7-game losing streak definitely was mainly a hinder on the offense keeping up with what the opposing team was doing, but also the pitching was not so great. Like Zerpa was not doing the greatest. You had the mixture of Chris Stratton and Will Smith, the duo, and that was not solid. I don't think it's really been very solid for them, and that's why they have Lucas Erzeg and Sam Long and the other and Bubich. Um, Hunter Harvey, he's supposedly coming back here soon, probably near the end of this month. Um, but I have a couple of players to praise as far as hitting. Uh, Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, MJ Melendez, Darren Blanco, Kyle Bell, and the new additions in Tommy Pham and Yuli Gurriel. Yuli Gurriel was more of a add-in because Vinny Pasquantino uh, is pretty much out for a, a few more weeks. We'll see how long it takes for him to actually get through that, but it sounds like he's out for the rest of the year. But we have we've done some moving around before, like for the most part, Salvi is playing first base and Fermin is playing catcher. So it's kind of just a mix of who you want playing first here and there. But I think if the Royals keep it up and they stay hot at the right time, they will either still be in the second, probably in the second wild card spot, but keep their second place in the AL Central and maybe even uh, take out the Guardians. Who knows? The Guardians have been kind of inconsistent too as far as their bullpen, but they've also just been fairly more offensive heavy rather than defense, it seems, because they had to be in order to stay at first place. Because Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, and a few other of the Guardians pitchers have just been beat up or hurt. So you gotta get through that somehow. Um, but yeah, the one thing that sucks about the injuries is definitely Vinny being out, but it is what it is, man. And then Robbie Grossman and a few others were a really good addition. But yeah, pitching needs to be consistent. And then at the end here, my thoughts. So I think that so I have in my notes the Rashee Rice update. Um, According to the legal situation currently, it is they don't have a like court date until like next year, I believe. So it sounds like his legal troubles in the federal court level won't be solved until next season, probably. So I guess this most of the season Rice will be playing unless he gets hurt somehow. But we'll figure that out at a later date. That was the main reason why I also kind of pushed off on making a second Ruckus Talks until a later time because I didn't know what Rice's update was. And at the time that I made the first one, no one would shut up about Rashee Rice when it came to like actual current stuff. So that's why um, let that alone. But for the Royals, I had a prediction of they could be knocking off the Guardians for first place, and maybe just maybe a bye for the AL Division Series if they keep beating up on the Guardians and other teams in their way. That's been pretty uh, evident with beating the Twins and winning the series. These past two games and tonight's game as of recording. This is Saturday night. I realize I thought it was pretty awesome that the Royals rallied around to score 4 runs in the eighth inning to take out the Twins in the bottom of the ninth with Lucas Urzag, or not bottom of the ninth, top of the ninth. Lucas Urzag taking care of business, and I think if the Royals keep that up, they could get pretty far in the postseason. I'm not going to say they're going to go to the World Series. I'm just saying I've seen this before. And it's kind of funny how this kind of greatness comes back 10 years after the Royals surprisingly got into the wild card. Um, and were looking pretty bad against the Athletics. And then managed to make their way all the way through that game and then sweep the Angels of Anaheim and the Baltimore Orioles and then face the Giants in the World Series. That's all I'm saying. But other than that, I really don't have a whole lot to say about the either or anymore. Yeah, we'll see what happens in week 2 with the Chiefs. I might do more of these Ruckus Talks. It was just more of the problem mainly stems from not very much news happening because there was a huge drought around the time I did it the first time, which I think was June, July, and now it's like the first, second week of September, and there's a lot more happening, like college football and whatnot. But I try to stick with Kansas City sports, like Royals, Chiefs, And if there was ever a basketball team, that'd be sweet. But uh, we'll keep our toes on that. But yeah. Anyways, we'll see what happens week 2 for the Chiefs. We'll see how the Royals are doing. Thank you for watching and listening to Ruckus Always Causing a Ruckus. Make sure to listen to the pod every Tuesday and other random videos that pop up. Stay tuned for the Super Bear Run and the um stuff that Spence is doing for his Super Bowl run race for the Commanders, new era in old DC. Um, we'll see you guys in the next one.